Welcome to the deep dive. We're plunging headfirst into some, well, pretty fascinating and sometimes baffling stuff today, trying to give you the clearest picture we can.
That's the goal.
Today, we're digging into a real mystery, one that got the internet buzzing and left officials very, very quiet. We're talking about the sudden, completely unexplained closure of a solar observatory down in New Mexico.
Right.
And it raises big questions, What happens when the official information just stops? And what rushes in to fill that void?
Exactly. Theories, speculation.
Okay, let's unpack this then. You've got this facility, boom, suddenly evacuated, feds involved.
The FBI, yeah.
And zero reason given.
Yeah.
Not to the local cops, not to the people who work there, nobody.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, isn't just the event itself, dramatic as it was, but that profound silence surrounding it. It's unusual.
Very unusual.
When you have a specialized science facility, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, shut down that fast, with federal agents involved, you'd expect something.
Some kind of statement, at least.
Yeah. Some explanation, yeah. Even just for the people whose lives are directly impacted. And this total lack of info, that's really what fuels all the speculation we're going to dive into.
So our mission today is basically to sift through the few details we do have.
Right. Look at the implications of a shutdown like this, so opaque, and explore those theories that just naturally bubble up when the official story is, well, missing.
And it really was a case of unprecedented silence. So the sources say Thursday, September 6th, this is the Sunspot Solar Observatory, also called the National Solar Observatory. It's way out there in Sunspot, New Mexico.
Remote location.
Very. And suddenly, it's closed down. Completely. Not just closed, like totally evacuated.
Everyone out.
Imagine that. You're at work one minute, next you're told pack up, leave, and no reason why.
Yeah. Unsettling.
And it wasn't just the observatory building. Like you said, the FBI got involved right away. Even the local post office, they're in Sunspot, evacuated too.
The post office, wow.
Yeah. And the really striking part, nobody was told why. Not the local police, not the post office folks, not the observatory staff themselves. Just silence.
And to really grasp how odd this is, you have to remember what a solar observatory actually does.
Right. It's not looking at distant stars.
Exactly. It's not like, Hubble looking at galaxies billions of light years away. It's specifically built to take daily pictures of our sun, our own star, continuously monitoring it.
Day in, day out.
So for a place like that, so specialized in such a remote spot, to be shut down like that, instantly, high level, super secret, it really begs the question, what on earth could warrant that kind of extreme and totally non-transparent response?
It implies something.
Big.
Or sensitive.
Incredibly sensitive, you'd think. Or urgent. Something discovered, maybe, or maybe something was happening at the site. We just don't know.
And the mystery definitely mystified everyone, actually. Their local news, ABC 7, I think it was, they reported how baffled people were.
Understandably.
Folks in Sunspot and the nearby town, Cloudcroft, were quoted as being totally mystified. One local even said it sounded like some cloak and dagger thing that's going on there, and I actually have no idea.
That quote kind of sums it up perfectly, doesn't it?
It really does. And the official word, or lack of it, just made it weirder. The FBI did talk to local law enforcement, apparently.
Okay.
Told them the observatory would be closed for a few days, or possibly months.
Once. That's a big difference.
Right. But they absolutely refused to say why. Just closed indefinitely, maybe.
And that information blackout reached even, like you said, the post office, basic services. A USPS spokesperson confirmed it. Their employees were told to evacuate on the 6th, and they said, quote, "We weren't told why that was the case."
They didn't even know who told them to leave.
No. When asked who gave the order, the spokesperson apparently said, "We don't know, just told to clear out. And as for reopening, no, that's still up in the air. We will remain suspended until we're allowed to return." So the post office workers got temporarily moved to Cloudcroft, but think about the uncertainty for residents, for the workers. It's not like your typical emergency situation response.
Now, usually you get some kind of warning, some public safety announcement.
Exactly. This felt like a deliberate exclusion of information, keeping people in the dark.
And that deliberate exclusion, that really weird silence, that's the spark, isn't it? That's what lights the fire of all the online speculation and theories that popped up almost immediately.
Yeah.
Because here's where it gets really interesting. With zero official answers, The internet does what it does best.
Fills a vacuum.
Right. Starts connecting dots, maybe inventing some dots. And the main theories, well, they revolved around what the observatory cameras might have seen, what the images captured.
Makes sense, given it's an observatory.
Some people were saying maybe it recorded some kind of secret machine or craft. Government tech, maybe.
Right.
Others went further. Some sort of alien craft or object, UFOs near the sun.
Always a popular theory when things get weird and secret.
Definitely. Then there was the maybe more plausible but still dramatic idea of a massive solar flare, a huge CME, a coronal mass ejection.
Which could be a reason for concern, potentially disrupting technology, power grids.
Absolutely. But the bottom line is we still don't actually know the real reason. It's all just theories born from silence.
And what makes it even stranger, maybe more concerning, is what the source describes as a total news blackout.
Right. You'd think FBI shutting down a science facility would be bigger news.
You would. But apparently, despite how dramatic it sounds, it wasn't widely covered by the big national news outlets. The source says only a couple of news sites even reported on it.
Which is odd in itself.
It really is. And if you think about that in terms of, information control, the public's right to know, it raises some serious questions. In today's world where everything spreads instantly, for something like this to barely make a ripple in the mainstream media, that's significant. It just adds more fuel to that online fire.
It sure did.
Yeah.
That lack of mainstream coverage only made the online theories seem more plausible to some people, especially when this specific image started making the rounds on forums.
Yes, the image.
Supposedly, it came from the observatory, or at least related satellite data, looking at the sun. According to the forum posts, it showed a giant portion of the sun is blacked out. Just
obscured somehow.
Yeah. And people were asking, why would an image of the sun be obstructed? You can see how that visual, right, combined with the lockdown, the FBI, the total secrecy.
Oh, absolutely. It leads directly to the suspicion that they saw something they shouldn't have.
Captured something problematic.
Exactly. That the observatory might have captured something that they were not supposed to capture. And the prevailing theory online became, well, the lockdown was needed to scrub these images.
Get rid of the evidence before it gets out.
Secure the data, make sure it doesn't leak.
Right.
And then maybe come up with some kind of cover story later on. Say it was just a scare or a drill or some technical glitch.
Plausible deniability.
Right. And it really makes you wonder about the integrity of information we get, doesn't it? What else might be considered too sensitive for us, the public, to know? What crucial data might be out there that we're just not allowed to see?
It's the kind of mystery that just sticks with you. Like the source wonders, why target this specific place? A solar observatory in New Mexico.
It's not exactly Area 51.
Right. It's remote. It's specialized. It's not an obvious target for anything, really. A simple prank. Doesn't fit the FBI response. A standard active situation. Doesn't fit the total silence.
It just doesn't compute easily.
No, it defies a simple explanation. And maybe that's what makes it so darn compelling.
Definitely leaves you thinking.
So, okay, while that Sunspot mystery hangs there, with all its questions about secrets and silence, our sources also kind of nudge us to look broader, to think about other stuff happening around the globe around the same time. Events that also seem a bit off, maybe. Challenging, easy explanations.
Connecting seemingly disparate dots.
Yeah. Like, let's look at the weather patterns they mentioned. Hurricane Florence, for instance.
Okay.
The source describes it as going from a Category 2 to a Category 4 hurricane incredibly fast, like within a span of just a couple of hours.
Rapid intensification. That happens, but it's always noteworthy.
And it forced massive evacuations, millions of people in Carolinas. But what was also noted as unusual was its path. Apparently it was heading almost dead on, straight east to west, not the more typical angled approach.
Interesting observation on the track. And broadening that view, the source notes that around that time, the Earth is literally covered in hurricanes. Multiple big storms swirling in both the Pacific and the Atlantic.
A lot of activity at once.
Now, they do acknowledge that the timing around early September is historically the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. So lots of storms isn't totally unexpected then.
Right, that's fair context.
But the source still seems to wonder, does the historical peak fully explain the intensity and the sheer number of powerful storms happening simultaneously across the globe? It paints a picture of, unusually active global weather that maybe warrants a closer look.
And here's where those observations take a, let's say, really intriguing turn.
Okay.
The source brings up data from something called mimic satellites. They're described as monitoring microwave energy signatures on Earth, used for atmospheric monitoring, that sort of thing.
Right, microwave sensing, standard stuff.
But these satellites allegedly picked up something not so standard. Strange, spiraling beams of energy shooting up from Antarctica.
From Antarctica, beams of energy. Okay, that's definitely not standard.
No. Catches your attention, right?
It does, and apparently there's a history to this. These beams, they seem to, or are reported to, emanate from Antarctica. There was one specific instance described that sounds particularly wild.
Oh, one.
A beam supposedly went right in between two different storms, two hurricanes presumably, and then shortly after, you suddenly see the eyes of each hurricane start lighting up with energy, like the beam interacted with them somehow.
Wow, okay. That's quite a claim.
It is. Now, the source is careful to note that these specific beams hadn't been observed with the new storms, like Florence, at the time of their writing, but they raise the possibility that the data might be incomplete, or even potentially being actively removing or edited, cleaned up, perhaps.
So maybe the beams were there, but the data isn't showing it now.
That's the implication floated, which again raises big questions. What are these beams? If they're real, what do they mean? And how can we be sure we're seeing the full, unedited picture, especially when these weird patterns show up alongside major global events like massive hurricanes?
Yeah, data integrity becomes crucial again. And this whole idea of the beams, the intensified storms, it feeds directly into a theory the source says they hear a lot about.
Let me guess. Weather modification.
Pretty much. The source mentions getting lots of emails suggesting that these storms may very well be seeded and or interacted with artificially to create a more powerful full storm. Basically hinting that maybe these super hurricanes aren't entirely natural.
It's a theory that's been around for a long time in various forms, weather control, atmospheric manipulation.
Right. The source acknowledges it's a recurring idea, something people have been speculating about for years. It points to this persistent undercurrent of, well, maybe suspicion, or at least curiosity about whether everything we see in global weather is purely nature at work.
And it really underscores the challenge, doesn't it? Trying to make sense of complex information, especially when the official channels go silent, like with the Observatory, or when you see these highly unusual patterns emerging alongside major events like global storms.
It forces you to think critically.
Absolutely. You have to weigh what we understand about natural phenomena against these claims. Well, these other possibilities, things that are less understood, maybe even deliberately hidden, our ability to connect these different pieces, to question our own assumptions, that becomes really vital in trying to figure out what might actually be going on.
So we've really covered two compelling threads today. They seem separate, but maybe they share that theme of mystery and hidden information.
Definitely.
First, the Sunspot Observatory lockdown. That deep mystery, the weird silence, all the speculation about what they might have seen on their cameras.
And the implications of that kind of secrecy.
And then this broader look at global weather. The intense hurricanes and these really strange reports of energy beams from Antarctica possibly interacting with storms. Things that make you go,
Both leave you with far more questions than answers, really, which isn't always a bad thing.
No,
I think it's a powerful reminder of how important curiosity is and critical thinking, especially now, right? We're flooded with information, but sometimes the world feels more opaque than ever. True.
Knowledge is great, but it's most valuable when you actually understand it, apply it, and questioning assumptions, especially when things don't add up or when the official story is just absent. That's absolutely key.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. As you go about your day navigating the world, what connections might you start to make between things that seem isolated maybe and these larger global patterns? And maybe more importantly, how do you decide what information to trust when that official story just isn't there? Lots to think about. We hope you continue your own deep dives into all the world's mysteries. Stay curious, and until next time, stay safe, especially if you're in the path of any storms.